Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Massive games yesterday going down, certainly in the Americas side. Sentinels versus Loud. Zekken with some very interesting thoughts on the matter after this series, after some accusations going his way. Zekken gives a serious response and shutting down a lot of these rumours. Big results elsewhere as well in EMEA, in the Pacific we're going to get into. Certainly with FNATIC, with their tournament and their run already coming to a close. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. We'll get off this very quickly. If you guys can't tell what's going on here with Sassy, trying to support both Loud and Sentinels, but I'm not sure it really worked out exactly as he might have intended it to. This I thought was kind of nice here to see Paper Rex talking about manifesting a result against NRG. We'll see, of course, though, because for them to play FNS again, they've got to make it, at least in the near term, through to, theoretically, Masters Bangkok. PRX can make it, but they're in the losers bracket right now. They've got to make a run. NRG can make it, but they're in the losers bracket right now, and they've got to make a run. So we'll see how that goes over the next few days. Speaking of NRG, this was confirmed here by Chet. It is now a month, basically, 30 more days until his, competitive ruling violation, basically suspension, comes to a close. We know that Chet was banned by Riot Games for leaking a scrim VOD, as controversial as the whole circumstance was, and Chet then says, alright, 30 more days and I'm officially going to be back. So as soon as Bangkok ends, which is basically what we're talking about, so it's the 3rd of March 2025, that's the final date of Masters Bangkok, 30 or so days away from now. We've got the kickoffs upcoming, the conclusion of them anyway, and then everyone goes to Bangkok and we see who's going to win the entire tournament. Let's talk about the Pacific, because Paper Rex, they're trying to make a run through the losers bracket, and we'll see how that's going on in just a second. First, if they fit the refresh on this, we will see that RIQ are currently at 1-0 against Nongshim. This is the lower round 2 game. Map 1 was a banger, 14-12 here on the Fracture. Jemkin with a good result, and then the Lotus is yet to get underway. So that could be a backbreaker, really, for Nongshim, losing in that manner the game 1, but that wasn't RIQ's pick, to be fair. So if Nongshim can, recompose themselves, maybe it's going to be another Korean team making a pretty deep run in this tournament. The rest of the bracket, just to have a look at real quick. So T1 took down Talon, we saw. Gen.G were 2-0'd by DRX yesterday. This was a big result, to be honest. As I say, this DRX team, I wasn't so convinced by it, really, but I also wasn't massively convinced by what Gen.G did. I know that, of course, guys like Meteor, they had offers that I suppose became somewhat difficult to refuse. But losing to DRX like this, it was like the bind was super competitive, and if you look at the plus minuses, you'd probably think this is a dominant victory. It wasn't so clear, right? Abyss was 13-9, bind ended 15-13 in the end. Great map here from Freeing, but yeah, DRX advancing on to the tournament, and Gen.G dropping down to the losers bracket. So the way that it currently looks over here in the Pacific is as follows. Gen.G are down to losers. They will play the winner of DFM Paper X, and that's going to be, look, Paper X are obviously going to be the favourites in that series. If they win this one and they play Gen.G, wow, that's a banger game, given the fact that a winner of that series would have to play, and win 2 more series after that to even get to Bangkok in the first place. So, yeah, these are the games currently going on in the Pacific. Big results yesterday. In an EMEA, we have some equally emphatic results, such as this one, right? Now, FNATIC, it's just a strange set of circumstances over there, really, right? With Leo out of the picture, with everything happening, with, crashies coming in and all this, and FNATIC losing to BBL earlier on in the tournament, and then for esports coming through and just taking them down without too much difficulty, really. Again, it's like Kayak had a phenomenal series the day before, but yesterday, again, you put them against a well-rounded team like for esports, and they're just going to, handle business. 13-10 on the Abyss. This was a map that FNATIC probably feel like certainly on the second half they should have had a better chance of, going up 10-7, losing 6 in a row on their defense, not ideal. And then the Fracture on FNATIC's pick, again, competitive first half and then completely collapse on their attacking end. You can see here the attempted attacking rounds from FNATIC just didn't really deliver anything at all. So FNATIC out of the tournament, and honestly it wasn't even especially close. As Crashy says, GG's, disappointed, sorry to everyone who was cheering us on. So it's just a weird one with FNATIC. Like, I know that everyone is going to want, obviously, Leo to be back in business. We don't know as and when he may or may not be healthy again. It's obviously a really difficult turn of affairs, but at the same time, FNATIC made the decision to drop Durka. So I think the Durka stocks are going up here kind of by the day, right? Like, he's obviously gone to Vitality. They decided that they were going to make that change, and that wasn't necessarily Leo, Crashies, whatever, like their replacements were going to be induced. They thought they needed a change. They got rid of Durka. it's not looking like it's working out so far. And yeah, I don't know, as Boaster says, don't worry though, we'll be back. I know that Boaster has like a likable personality and all this, but I do tend to feel like his reaction to some of the losses are like, if I was a FNATIC fan, I wouldn't have much confidence. I'll just put it that way. Like, because I see Boaster, they lose, and he's like, oh, well, don't worry, we'll be back stronger. It's like, I don't know, fair enough, I suppose. It's just the way that Boaster is. But I don't know if they actually will be back stronger, right? Like, I feel like he's said this for some time now, and I don't really see much evidence that's actually going to happen. Then again, if Leo was to recover and was okay, it'd be a different story. But they cannot guarantee that would happen because they were hoping it was going to happen for the start of this season, and it clearly hasn't. And now they will be doing nothing for several weeks while everyone else goes to Bangkok. The other game was Team Liquid. They took down BBL. They go through in the tournament. Big result actually from Team Liquid here. Their series have been far from emphatic, really, right? Like, this is a banger. They won the bind 13-11. They lost the Pearl 13-9. And then they close out the split in a 13-10. So a very close series. And Team Liquid will not feel lucky because they executed well on their defense, but certainly losing or winning 7 in a row after going down 10-6 on the split. That's a result they'll be pretty happy with for themselves. So yeah, Liquid advanced in the tournament, but the other big results of yesterday were coming out of the Americas, and this pretty much involved a lot of Sentinels action, really. Sentinels versus Loud. For some reason, this series, no matter the circumstances, is always a banger. Now, I will say, Loud are better than I expected them to be. I know that Narrate didn't have his best series in this one, but I definitely think that Sentinels, should have been the favourites in this series. Loud, their team isn't quite what it used to be, but to be fair to Vinny and those guys that they've put together on that roster over there, I think they've done a pretty good job forming a team that's actually reasonably competitive, and they very much could have won this series, Loud. Again, doesn't really seem to matter what turn of events it is. When Sentinels play Loud, it's always going to be a banger. It was a stressful one, I'm sure, for all involved, but in the end, it was Sentinels that got the job done. As Zelsis says, 14-5 against the most handsome man in the game. Looking here about Zelsis' record against, of course, Pancada. And, yeah, so you see Pancada only had 5 in 14 against Zelsis. So, of course, that was one of the other storylines, really, of the entire series, was the fact that it was the Pancada-Zelsis battle again. When Pancada was on Sentinels, that's when Zelsis kind of took his spot, and Pancada was let go. He went to Loud. The rest is history, really. Bang, by the way, had a phenomenal final closeout on the split. I think that was really the key point here. Sentinels on a Game 3 split are always going to be favoured probably against basically anyone, really. Loud won 13-11 on the first map. Then, of course, Sentinels won their map pick 13-11 as well. All of these maps really were absolute bangers. And then the split in the end was 13-9 with a big closeout. I think it was from, yeah, Bang on the second half on the defense. He went 16-4 on the Omen. So that was a big result. Sentinels advanced in the tournament. And just before we get to who they're going to play, one of the pieces of drama here was around Zekken, because if you guys are familiar with esports at all, you will know that accusations of, well, let's just call it like performance-enhancing drug abuse, basically, are pretty much everywhere. You guys might remember this happened with, was it Angel? He was using like snus or whatever it's called, and that video was, yeah, definitely an interesting talking point at the time, and clearly right one very happy about it. Now, I don't know if they actually drug test the players, I'm not exactly sure, but what I do know is that Zekken has apparently been getting accused of this type of stuff, and well, as he says the following, also want to clear something up because I keep seeing people chatting, I don't use Adderall, Vyvanse, Ritalin, which I think of probably, I don't really know what this one is, but I think these are very similar compounds anyway, this Adderall, Ritalin, whatever, like it's a similar compound. If well, you can, certainly in America, if you're diagnosed with ADHD, it's not difficult to get a prescription for this type of stuff. It's always a massive talking point in esports that players that may or may not have ADHD have prescriptions, and, it's always a controversial point. The leagues generally try and crack down on it. It's been a problem in esports for decades, frankly, at this point, and it's never too far away from being a discussion. Are there players in the league that use this type of stuff or even abuse this type of stuff? Absolutely possible. Is Zekken one of them? According to him, absolutely not. And he says, like, it's just straight up caffeine that I'm getting cracked on in these matches. So, yeah, interesting from Zekken to shut that down, because I hadn't really seen in the Call of Duty world, this is a conversation point every couple of months. In Valorant, it's very rarely discussed, but I'm sure is probably still relevant on some capacity. And clearly Zekken's been having some accusations going his way, so he decided to shut those down once and for all. The other, of course, crucial series was Lev G2, and G2 handled business here without much difficulty. Liv on paper still should be quite good. We know their scrims have apparently been basically horrific, and so maybe it's not a massive surprise they lose in this way. And they didn't, like, they put up a bit of a fight. It's funny, really. I'm saying they put up a fight and they lost 13-5, 13-9. Like, it wasn't close at all. But, and Demon 1, it's tough for Demon 1, isn't it, really? Because Demon 1 went from being, like, the best player in the game, one of the straightest shooters, one of the most exciting players, talking all this trash and all this stuff going on. And all of a sudden, he's become one of these players that, you know, newer fans will be like, who even is this guy? And it's fans that have been around for a few years that will be like, you know, we won't forget about what Demon 1 used to be, because he just isn't that guy anymore, really. And it's tough to imagine why exactly. Map 1, he had 5 kills. Map 2 on the Fracture, he was 15 and 20 on the Brimstone. I mean, like, Demon 1 could do it all back in the day. He was running the Jet, he was running the Brimstone, he was running whatever on Evil Genius is, and it was working out fine. Not the case right now. So G2 advance, they'll be happy enough with how they played, I imagine, as Demon 1 says O2 versus G2. And look, to be fair, they're still in losers. They've still got a chance left to make a bit of a run, but it is going to be a hard time. So as we might have expected, it's going to be Sentinels G2 in the upper final. The winner of that series, they go to Bangkok. And that's a massively important series because you do not want to be in the lower final. The lower final is going to be stacked. I mean, EG, MIBR, NRG Crew, they still play. Assuming that NRG make it through. And then let's just say NRG beat Loud. And then, you know, NRG maybe beat Lev or whatever. Right? Like, the lower final is going to be absolutely stacked full of talent. And it's no guarantee at all that the loser of SEN G2 wins the lower final and makes it back to Bangkok anyway. So, yeah, very much interested your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.